Hello and welcome to Ryno's Ravens preview. Here's me asking in the beginning, please like and subscribe. Yay, I did it. Now if I can just keep that up. If you thought last week going into the game was kind of worrisome about injuries, well, this week is the same. It really is. I don't know what's going on, but apparently the Baltimore Ravens just can't keep people healthy. I don't know if it's getting back into football shape kind of like thing because there's no preseason. And throughout the years, they have definitely limited the time of practicing during a training camp type thing. I don't know, man. So you can see I am on BaltimoreRavens.com. Let's get to the injury page. Odell Beckham Jr., ankle injury, out. Jadeveon Clowney, illness. Full participant Thursday and Friday, so he will most likely play. Devin Duvernay, dealing with a shoulder injury. He has practiced all week, so he will probably also play. Justice Hill, foot, out. Humphrey, foot, still out. In 3 games, so, or as of Sunday, it will be 3 games. Interesting that he wasn't put on some kind of IR. Linderbaum, ankle, out. Owe, ankle, out. Stanley, knee, out. Marcus Williams, pectoral, out. Owe and Beckham Jr. are the new additions to go along with, Hill. Justice Hill, also a new addition to the injury report. Wow. Oh. It's really not that funny. You don't want to laugh at somebody injured, but Ravens have been dealing with injury problems for several years. Not that nobody else around the league has had to deal with injuries, but Ravens have come under some heavy fire about the way they handle their injury in their training room area and who is working there. And they have made changes. Well, apparently it's not doing anything. Let's get into some articles. This one headline really says it all here. Written by Clifton Brown, BaltimoreRavens.com staff writer. Ravens signed Kenyon Drake to the practice squad. He was with the Ravens for a bit last year. Maybe it was the year before. I don't even remember anymore. They've had so many guys. It's been like a revolving door. New guys coming in and out because nobody can stay healthy. As of the time this article was written, the 20th, so a few days ago, it's just practice squad. Now, Melvin Gordon and Gus Edwards look to see most of the carries, I would assume. Now, will Kenyon Drake be upgraded to active duty for Sunday's game against that team from Indianapolis? Don't know, but he should be fairly familiar with the team, so it's not that bad of a move. Go on another article, another injury. This one written by Ryan Mink, editorial director. Again, headline says it all. Ardarius Washington he's made a few pretty good plays for the Ravens defense this year. But, as you can see, injured reserve with a chest injury. So yet another defensive back out. Wow. And as I mentioned, not these injury woes are not only exclusive to the Ravens. What's the guy's name? Tony Richardson, right? Anthony Richardson. Tony Richardson. Anthony Richardson, the rookie quarterback for that team from Indianapolis, is going to miss the game with a concussion. And then, so therefore, Gardner Minshew, again, as Clifton Brown, BaltimoreRavens.com staff writer, says here, Gardner Minshew, the backup quarterback, will face the Ravens. That does help us, I guess. He's definitely not going to be as mobile as Anthony Richardson, which does benefit the Ravens, especially with Oweh out. He is more of the speed guy, so guys like Clowney and Ojabo won't have to chase a faster man, hopefully. And really, with all these injuries, and it is probably cliche to say, but the Ravens need to win the battle in the trenches, both on defense and offensively. With all the pieces you have out, Lamar Jackson needs time to find whatever weapons he has out there. And because you're down your, two of your top three running backs, offensive line is going to have to make sure they run block just as good. They really need to get that leverage on the Indianapolis defenders, make those running lanes. But at the same time, be able to backpedal a little bit and pass block, make a nice-ish pocket for Lamar. Not that Lamar really needs a nice pocket, but you got to be able to move the ball. So I can't believe they have so many injuries. Wow. It is so odd that that is what football has become. It did seem like once upon a time way back in the NFL, there definitely didn't seem to be as many injuries. All of a sudden now, there's guys being out for this game and out for that game and such and so forth. Now, to a certain extent, some of these players being listed as out could be because of who the Ravens are facing. Ravens are at home, and that team from Indianapolis is not as good as the Ravens should be anyway. So, are some of these names like, say, Oweh or Justice Hill, Odell Beckham, are they really only out because John Harbaugh and the rest of the front office or decision makers feel they have good enough pieces to be able to beat that team from Indianapolis without guys like Beckham and Hill and maybe even Humphrey? This was about the week that we were led to believe Marlon Humphrey would be back. Well, according to this, he's not. So, is it more of the same old, like the Ravens training room department, injury recovery department, isn't doing a good enough job? Or is it more of who they're playing? In their minds, they're playing an inferior opponent, so why not give Marlon Humphrey a full game off where he would potentially play? Possibly. Some of it could be on how well Darby and butchering his name, Mr. Rakya Sin, actually played fairly well against Cincinnati. So why rush Humphrey back? We will just have to see the following week. This is somewhat concerning that we're this early in the season and you have this many people out, this many starters out. It's a lot. All right, let's take a look at this schedule, wrap things up a little bit, get out of here. Yes, that team from Indianapolis coming into M&T Bank Stadium be Sunday, September 24th, 1 p.m. start time. Seem to have a lot of 1 p.m. start times. Some of these games got to be prime time. The Cleveland game, not prime time. Steelers game, not prime time. Oh, the Tennessee game is a prime time game. All right. Okay, the Bengals later on. Chargers. Okay. More primetime games later on in the season. Possible flex here, last game of the year. All right, let's wrap this up. With the injury woes, honestly, on both sides, you got the backup quarterback in there for that team from Indianapolis. You've got to control that line of scrimmage. Yes, you want your guys on the back end to be able to cover, but you got to get pressure on him. He's a backup quarterback, and he's a backup quarterback for a reason. He should have less ability than the starter. Therefore, the more you pressure him, the more you're able to take him down, the more benefit you have. You drafted guys like he's not out, but Ojabo. And you signed Clowney. You gave, I want to say, Broderick Washington a contract extension. You got pieces on that defensive line. You have good pieces on that defensive line. Yes, we lost Campbell from last year, but you have good pieces on that defensive line. We need to use them. We need to use them very effectively this week. On the other side, look, you got two key pieces missing from the offensive line. The center out again. Stanley technically is a key piece because he is the starting left tackle, although I think with McCary in there, I think we're okay because I think McCary's a little more mobile. But you got to keep up the good work. You had very, very nice work up front last week against Cincinnati. Keep that up. From something I like to say when I do these Orioles shows and I talk about relievers, maybe somebody like Shintaro Fujinami, and while he hasn't pitched good lately, he's had a couple outings where he's stacking zeros and he's stacking zeros. D.L. Hall is another one. Stack zeros, stack zeros, stack zeros. Same thing with, let's say, the offensive line here for the Ravens. They stacked good performance on top of good performance on top of good performance. And it boosts themselves a little bit. Hopefully not too much and they don't get a big head and ruin everything. But you have to control the line of scrimmage. It allows running backs to run. It allows Lamar to run if that's the play call. And it allows Lamar to throw to all them expensive weapons. Well, technically, the most expensive weapon isn't out there, except for himself. All right, that is going to do it for this edition of Ryno's Ravens preview. Remember, the game Sunday is at 1 o'clock. It's kind of weird to keep interfering with baseball. Of course, we say that now in Baltimore because we got two teams we want to watch at Sunday on 1 o'clock. Be sure to like and subscribe. I'm the Angry Ryno. Fly, Ravens, fly.